Hello, this is Mr. Payne bringing you Unit 1, Lesson 3, Properties. Numbers can combine through the operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division to produce other numbers. Sometimes how they combine is dictated by a convention, like with the order of operations. Other times, though, properties about numbers exist simply due to how these operations work. Addition and multiplication have two very important properties with very technical names. The next exercise will review these properties. Exercise number 2. Fill in the missing blanks along with me for each property. The first property we're going to talk about is the commutative property of addition. 8 plus 4 gives me the same sum as 4 plus 8. Both sums equal, and you should be able to know this on your own, they both equal 12. Commutative property of multiplication says 6 times 3 gives the same property as 3 times 6. Both products equal, and you should know this one on your own as well, 18. Let's talk about the commutative property real quick, and let's make a little note on the side how we're going to remember this. I notice that both live in the same community. They just look different, so I would write that down. Same community, and you can shorthand, but look different. So they look in the same community, live in the same community, but they just look different. Another way I remember that is by CO. Change order. So if you want to write that down. CO, change order. Notice that change order starts with C and O. The next property we're going to talk about is the associative property of addition. The sum 3 plus 5 plus 9 gives the same result as 3 plus 5 plus 9. Both sums are equal to 17. The associative property of multiplication. The product 2 times 5 times 7 gives the same result as the product 2 times 5 times 7. Both products equal 70. Now let's talk about a quick little way that I remember the associative property. The associative property, you notice that all numbers are in the same order. The only thing that's sliding are the parentheses. And basically what the parentheses are doing is just grouping the numbers differently so that you can multiply or add different things together first. It's putting emphasis on what you want to add first. Because ultimately, you could take a problem like this and add it any way that you want. And that's what it's basically showing you, is that you can do 3 plus 5 first, or you can do 9 plus 5 first. You can even do 3 plus 9 if you want to group those guys together. But what the parentheses are showing you is that you can group numbers differently. You can group any numbers together any way that you would like. Even though subtraction is not commutative, we should remember a very important fact about subtraction. Subtraction can always be made into addition of opposites. What does that mean, of opposites? Well, we'll figure it out. I'll show you what I mean and how I rewrite this problem so that everything is addition. Change the following expression involving addition and subtraction into one only involving addition. And then use the commutative and associative properties to quickly determine the value of the expression. Remember, commutative says you could change order. Associative means you can group numbers however you would like in order to make adding easier. To quickly determine the value of this expression. Through this, please review some properties of negative numbers. So let's take a look at the first problem here. It says 7 minus 3. How can I change that to make that say 7 plus a number? Well, watch. We can say 7, I'm going to just change my colors here, plus, and watch what I do in parentheses here, -3. 7 plus -3 ultimately means the same thing as 7 minus 3, but what I'm doing is changing it so that it's all plus. So then we're going to write in there plus 8 plus a -2 plus a -6 plus 1. Now here's the tricky part. I want you to take a look and remember some facts at that part right in there, that minus negative. What happens when I have a minus and a negative touching each other? Right away, they change to positives. So it's really just plus 3. And this is a rule that you should have learned back in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and we're just reviewing it. Now we can go ahead and add and subtract these numbers in any way that you would like. Some people just go ahead and work left to right and keep going on. It's however you would like. If you would like to group these together first, group these guys together, group all that together, that's fine. However you would like to do it. If you would, you do it however you would like. Go ahead and take a moment and combine those numbers. All right, so you should have gotten 8 as your final answer. If you didn't get 8 as a final answer, make sure you star this, and then go ahead and ask me tomorrow when you come into class to go over this problem. We should be able to now extend the commutative and associative properties for numbers we know to numbers we don't know, which are my variables, and show my variables. One of the very nice ways to illustrate the usefulness of these properties is in combining like two or more expressions. So these are both expressions. Here's one expression, two expression, second expression here. So 5x plus 2x is going to give me 7x. Negative 8x, we're jumping down to example C, negative 8x plus negative 2x is going to give me a negative 10x. In the following exercise, we show how two linear expressions are combined using various properties. List what the properties are. I want you to understand that exercise 6 is something that you'll see on the Common Core Regents exam at the end of the year. It's something you'll see on quizzes and tests. You have to understand which properties are going on. So let's look at this first example that's going on right here. Notice on the left-hand side there's grouping. On the right-hand side there is no grouping. So which property did I talk to you about that deals with grouping numbers? Well, if you said associative property, you would be correct. The associative property. Let's look at the second example here, or the second step of this problem. I have 3x plus 7 plus 2x plus 8. Now I have 3x plus 2x plus 7 plus 8. All the same numbers are there, aren't they, on either side? But the only thing that it's doing is it's changing its order. So which one of these properties that are left means changing order? Well, if you said commutative property, you were correct. That is the commutative property. In the last example, I took what I just did in the commutative property and I put parentheses around it. So now I say, okay, I want you to do 3x plus 2x first, and then I want you to do 7 plus 8, and then I want to see if you can combine them. So when I'm grouping the numbers back together before I add them, that is called the associative property. With what you just learned in exercise 4, 5, and 6, I would like you to now complete exercise number 7 on your own. I would like you to complete A, B, and C. Practice changing everything that is subtraction to addition and see how that works for you. It's not always easier, but sometimes it's a good skill to know and how to move numbers around and what really means the same thing. Please complete and bring your WSQ packet and your note packet with you to every class. Remember, you should be keeping notes along with the video, writing down any questions you may have. Also then completing your WSQ. Remember, your summary, your S part of your WSQ, should be written that you're teaching a 4th or 5th grader on what we just learned. Summarize it and make sure your summary is good enough, because I may say that you can use this summary on your next quiz.